Do you know what's happening in China right now? It's like a house of cards that is about to come down really hard. And the question is, if the US and China are two of the largest economies on the planet, what happens when they're both struggling? It's a little bit like what's going down in here. This is a game of Jenga, which might as well be US versus China. Are you guys like, is this like...
This is risky right here.
It's risky right there, so try to make a little move right here, a little bit. Oh, dude, this is about to come freaking crashing down. That's what could happen to the US right now if we don't beware of what's going down in Chinatown.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Do you understand what is going on in China's economy right now? And do you know how linked we are to their failure or success? Listen, you know how much money we've borrowed from this country? But if anything bad happens to them, does that spill over on us? Pay attention. I need you to first understand what's happening in China's economy as it pertains to real estate. In conjunction with their rising industrial power, Chinese real estate has also experienced a boom for the last 20 years. Chinese real estate is now the largest single asset class in the world. It's worth $50 trillion and constitutes 30% of the country's annual GDP. In other words, this country, we think we like real estate, they love real estate. Except business laws work very different in China than they do in America. Check this out. This is Evergrande, the Evergreen. For decades now, Chinese real estate development companies like Evergrande have been taking deposits and sometimes full payment on incomplete houses. Now, I want to see if this actually rings a warning bell for you. They then use those payments to finish old construction contracts, allowing them to take new deposits and accumulate more government-backed debt. I want you to think Lehman Brothers, but like far, far worse. This is actually a Ponzi scheme, except in their country, apparently it's allowed. They can take your and my money and not actually put it towards the thing that we bought. They can actually catch up on a lot of old stuff going on, and that smells not so good.
Doesn't smell like caca to me, senor.
Here's what makes matters worse. In China, they have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to things that showed up in the pandemic. Here in America, we're good. We've moved on relatively, but they actually have not. Check this out. China has a zero policy, which continues to cause extreme 19 lockdowns. This means that these firms' construction projects have been essentially put on hold for over 2 years now. And because of this, many companies have fallen behind on their debt payments with no revenue source to pay them off. In other words, they've been building all this real estate. They've been doing it as a Ponzi. They're now running out of money. They're collecting money, but now they can't even fulfill on the projects they've committed to. And what that's doing is it's creating a bad news bears scenario in China. So this comes straight from Real Deal. We literally have big default problems that are happening right now with some of the largest development companies in China. The first wave of defaults, it's already here. For the first time in recent history, Evergrande defaulted on its loan for the first time in last December. Then, August 22, the Shimao Group defaulted on a $1 billion bond in August. Other property developers in China feel the strain as they face $13 billion of foreign currency bond payments through the end of this year. And the question is, I don't know, is China going to like bail them out and print trillions of dollars like the US has? Why, yes, they will, but not to the tune that they actually need. Check out what their government bailouts look like. To ward off the upcoming time bomb, China has already approved over $200 billion in stimulus in order to complete the current construction projects. However, experts say that this is well below the amount actually needed to shore up the crisis, meaning that China will either need to print more money or let these companies drown in debt. And right now, if you look at what's happening in the great US of A, we're actually letting people drown. That's where the government says, you know what, screw it, increase the rates, let inflation be what inflation's gonna be. Like at this point, we've printed so many trillions of dollars, and we don't have the velocity money the way that we need, and supply chain is wrecked. Let's just let things play out. So the question is, how does this impact you and I? Well, We talked about Jenga at the start of the video. Check it out. Although its growth has been unrivaled on the world scene, China's economy is now in serious hot water. We've looked over the last 2 decades. China has actually overtaken the US in so many different ways. But right now, I think we're about to see what could be a pretty nasty reversal. China is currently the world's most powerful economy besides the United States. So market shifts in China affect the entire world. And since China's real estate market is currently suffering, it's got the world on edge. How is this actually going to impact us? I mean, think about global supply chain issues. Almost everything goes back to China. When we have supply chain issues, guess what? It's because of China. Right now, I'm literally trying to print another round of my book because I've run out. And I was already 6 months delayed before because literally the printing was done and outsourced in China. So we are so inextricably linked to that economy that if they suffer, we suffer. And a lot of the suffering that our retailers and manufacturers are facing right now in the world is because China is suffering. They're just about to take suffering to a whole new level because of their real estate crisis. Well, check it out. There's a lot of money in the US that also goes to China. What happens to those investment dollars? As of 2021, the US investments made in China were valued at 118 billion US dollars. If this private money disappears, could that affect American daily life? The answer is yes. This combined with China and America facing serious inflation crisis, the future remains super volatile, it remains uncertain. But if you have the 2 largest economies on the planet that are both experiencing inflation or real estate dilemmas or supply chain dilemmas, how does that not affect you and I? So let's just talk about the difference between China and the US economy, right? Obviously, whatever bad happens in China, being the largest economy in the world next to the US, we're gonna be feeling it. We know that. But the real estate markets are different. Right now, China's real estate market is just beginning to crack and crumble, and they've got defaults on the horizon. China's gonna have to print more money. How's that gonna affect the global economy? There's gonna be impact. But meanwhile, the US is experiencing something really different. We've definitely seen a cooling off in the market as the government has increased rates, because what it's done is it meant that if you wanna buy real estate, now you have to be okay with a payment, not just higher because the interest rate is higher, but also because real estate's gone up in value. So for a lot of people, it's like, oh, can you afford another $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $3,000 a month? And people finally said, no, that's actually priced out of my budget. Remember, 64% of America lives paycheck to paycheck. So if interest rates go up and the price of real estate's gone up, they can't actually afford those higher payments. This is why a lot of people have backed off and said, well, we do need real estate, we need more homes, but not at those prices. So while we've experienced some of that cooling, this is kind of the crazy part. Guess how many good deals I'm finding right now in the real estate market versus the last 2 years? Like 1,000% more. Like I'm finding better deals. I'm still finding renters because guess what? Even when the real estate market cools, people still need a place to live. And because I buy real estate like my last 6,500 homes below the median, guess what that also means? It means that renters are now more fiercely competing against each other. Rents are actually being driven up. So you'll see this relationship when people can't buy real estate, rents will actually increase, which is good. We've actually needed rents to increase because they need to catch up with the increased price of real estate that we've seen, with 40% increase on average nationwide over the last 2 years. So while China's real estate market is about to struggle, guess what's happening in the United States? This is the time to protect yourself by actually leaning into the game of real estate and getting your hands on some, especially with the deals and the ROIs that are available today. There's a lot of unknown out there in the world today. But if you're looking for stability, financial protection, do 2 things. Number 1, make sure you're a subscriber on this channel. I'm gonna keep you informed, but I'm also gonna help you understand the opportunities that exist today. You see in the game of real estate, on my last several thousand deals, I'm averaging over the last decade a 34% annual ROI. And that means that if you had $50,000 sitting in a 401k, an IRA, or equity in a home that you transferred into a piece of property, if you could sustain 34% growth over a 20-year period of time like I've been averaging, that's going to turn $50,000 into over $17 million. Now I share that for illustrative purposes, but also because if you want to learn how to get in on some of that action, click the link below. Let me actually show you, share with you how you can let real estate create ultimate family protection for you. Regardless of what happens overseas, you can help your family's finances and your personal growth be what it needs. Now, if you're interested in looking at what that partnering with me looks like, because I'll do all the work if you bring the capital to the table and we'll partner up on some deals together, click the link below, learn about partnering. Let me show you how to win. Check it out. If you want to get into the game of real estate investing, there are 7 skills you're going to need. And I've got my buddy, Henry Washington, in studio with me, teaching you exactly what those 7 things are. Click this video right here. Let me show you how to crush it in real estate. So check it out.